Well, if you want to be in the video, you've gotta commit. You've gotta commit, just like I'm committing to keeping this fire going the whole time. Hey guys, what's up and welcome to my channel and happy almost new year. This week, I am going to be doing something that I have wanted to do for years, and every year I either run out of time or, in the case of last year, severe burnout after posting 25 videos in 25 days. Fun times. I did it to myself, truly. I did it to myself. So what I'm going to be doing is going through my top 10 projects of 2024, talking about why I love them, talking about why they made it onto the list, how they've held up, and of course, if I learned anything from the project or if there's some kind of takeaway from the project, I'm gonna be talking about it all. And also, because I have never done this on my channel, I thought it would be fun after I wrap up my top 10 of the year. I'm gonna be going through my top 5 projects of all time. As of a few days ago, there are 10,000 more DIY friends around here this year. So since there are so many new faces, this is also a great way to get a little bit familiar with my work. And if you want to check out any of these videos and projects, everything will be linked down below. So that is enough rambling. Let's jump into it and let's go through my top 10 projects of 2024. Yes, look at my precious little Bonnie. Oh, you look like a Christmas decoration. Okay guys, I'm not gonna lie. Picking out this top 10 was really hard, but also once I had my top 10 picked out, choosing the order was even harder. 2024 was just a year of really solid projects, and there were some really great projects that didn't make my top 10 list. I got my list right here. Let's jump into it. At number 10, we're starting out a little bit random, but I swear this project deserves a spot on this list, and that is my black jeans that I thrifted and duped into an expensive pair of jeans. This year, I started a thrift store clothing makeover series, and I'm so glad I started that series. I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on that series. I feel like I reached a new audience of people that really like sewing projects over the big home decor projects. And beyond that, those jeans have held up great. I wear them all the time. They're super comfortable. And out of all of the thrift store makeovers that I did, that was my favorite project. I was a little bit afraid to start this series because at this point, I feel like I'm most known for my home decor projects and my renovation projects, but I really wanted to start this series because that is what I actually have training in, and I have all of this clothing construction knowledge that if I don't use it, it's just gonna go to waste. And also, I'm just always trying to make my costume professor proud, so I'm just doing it for Howard. And that is why my jeans made the list at number 10. They gave me a chance to step into or step back into a world that I really miss. Number 9 is my gallery wall and outlet cover. When it came to picking projects from my living room, I tried to pick projects that I thought made the biggest impact. And although this project was not time consuming by any means, I still think it made a big impact. It gave my entryway a statement piece. It gave it some personality. And if I didn't have it in my entryway, I feel like I would miss it, even though, you know, it would have never happened. But I'd miss it, and I would want to go back and add this in. And beyond the gallery wall, I love the switch cover, the little cabinet switch cover that I made. It really polished up the space, covering up that switch. And I've gotten a ton of questions asking if it's annoying to have to open that little picture cabinet to access the switch, and it's not annoying at all. It opens really easily, it closes really easily. And I think the biggest thing I learned from this project, and I hope this inspires you too, is to not be afraid to do things that other people might not like or might not expect. I got a ton of comments saying a gallery wall in my entryway would be too busy, and even if it is a little busy, I love it. And I love the character it adds to my entryway, and also I get to show off how much I love cats, even though currently they're getting on my last nerve. Number 8 is my round ottoman with storage. Yes, I love this ottoman so much. I'm so glad I got to do it. I wasn't sure if I was gonna be able to do this project because I had to make a modification to my couch and get rid of the chaise to open up room and have space for this large ottoman. And I ended up being able to get rid of the chaise and make this ottoman, and I love this ottoman. Not only is it beautiful, it is functional. Because it has storage and because my couch has a pull-out bed, it is the perfect place to store bedding. I also love that this project could be a no-sew project if you wanted to attempt to make one of these ottomans and you don't know how to sew. A goal of mine on my channel is to make upholstery projects feel obtainable. As far as the execution of this project, it went super smoothly, but something I did learn from my off-kilter design that I went with is that I really love that look. I think somebody in my comments on this video used the term wabi-sabi, which like roughly means finding beauty in imperfections. And I'm really trying to embrace that design aesthetic more. Finding beauty in just things not being perfect. And something I have realized over the last few years is that I love designing and building furniture. Those are some of my absolute favorite projects to do. So that's why it made it so high up on the list, because designing and building furniture will just never stop being fun for me. Number 7 is the door trim, the trim on the doors in my living room. I really love how simple yet effective this project was. I also love that anybody could do this project. It's as simple as just removing that top trim piece and replacing it with 3 pieces of MDF board. And there you have it, a super custom, more elevated look to your trim. And of course, we can't forget the corbels at the corner, which by the way, I think is my new band name. Who's ready for my tour? Stupid. It'll be me and my cats. But what I really love about the corbels is that they add some architectural detail. Something I have noticed is a big trend is people wanting to add archways to every doorway in their house, like so many archways. And although that is fine, these corbels kind of add that arched effect without having to completely rip out your trim and do some drywalling. So I really love them. It's also an affordable way to get an elevated look. And something I learned from this project is that sometimes the simple changes can be just as effective as a big overhaul project. And a little trim goes a long way. Where are we? We are at number 6. I feel like I need to be like checking these off as I go. So we're at number 6, which is my living room chair. Speak of the devil. So out of my 3 upholstery projects I did for my living room, this is the only one that made it on the list. And I think it's just because it was the most difficult project out of all 3, and it was the project that I had to overcome the most hurdles. She was a tough beast, but I got through it. And I think this chair taught me a lot about upholstery, and it actually was more than I expected to learn. And I think what I learned is within upholstery, or really any DIY project, go in knowing that things aren't gonna go to plan. You're gonna have some curveballs and you're gonna have to figure out what to do. And you're gonna have to keep your cool while doing it. So yeah, I just love this chair. I love how it turned out. And also, if you are tackling an upholstery project, get 1 or even 2 yards more than you think you need. So for this project, I thought I needed 4.5 yards. So my buffer fabric, I was like, oh, I just need another like half a yard of buffer fabric. No big deal. But no, I really should have ordered more buffer fabric. And especially because this is a patterned fabric, so the way I had to cut it out, it really ate into my fabric. If this wasn't a patterned fabric, I don't think it would have been as big of a deal. Well, hello, Bonnie. So that is why I love this chair. I also still can't believe that I got this designer chair for 20 bucks. It's so cozy, it's so comfy, and I love it in my living room. So that is why it is number 6. Number 5's a good one. Yeah, it is. It is my TV stand, our house duped TV stand, I should say. This was a full-on furniture flip. It was also the first project of the year that kind of started to get me amped up for this living room makeover that I ended up doing. Even before I fixed up this table and made it look how it looks now, I loved this table. I loved the detail. I loved the shape of it. It's just such a good piece. I also can't believe I got it for 70 bucks when the lady had it listed for, I think, 160, maybe 140. Can't exactly remember, but it was listed for way more than what I got it. And I was doing a happy dance when I went to pick it up and realized the whole thing was real wood. As far as learning something from this project, I didn't really learn anything. This is my second time doing this our house duped look for a piece of furniture that I am flipping. If you're new to my channel, I went to school for theater and I had to take this class called Distressing, which I basically learned how to make things look old and worn. And so a few years ago, when I saw the Conrad cabinet from our house, I fell in love, but I didn't fall in love with the price. After looking at a lot of pictures, I kind of thought, hey, I think I can come up with a technique to get the same look. And that is what I did. So not only did I do it on the piece in my living room, but the first project I did was for some nightstands in my guest bedroom. I love this technique. It's definitely a trust the process technique as you layer all these different colored stains and paint, but slowly but surely, the more you work things out, it all comes together. And I'm pretty sure I have not seen anybody else try to get this our house look. So I'm really proud of this technique I developed to get that look. And getting an expensive look for less will always be a win. So that is why this is number 5 on the list. Okay, the fire's looking better. Let's get on to number 4. Number 4 is my coffee bar revamp. My coffee bar was one of my first projects I ever did in my house, so I had a ton of fun revisiting this space and fixing up the surrounding areas around my coffee bar. When I moved into my house, I think a lot of my first projects were just initial passes. I was in the mindset of let's make this space livable and make it more functional. This coffee bar is one of my favorite furniture flips I have ever done. It was also one of my very first furniture flips I ever did. I like going back to some of my first projects now that I have more experience and knowledge and fixing things up and just expanding on what I did. Something that I think I learned from this project is that I'm getting a lot better at designing out the details of a space, whereas a few years ago I used to focus more on like the big picture stuff, layout, major details, and the little details would get neglected. So now I definitely think I have a better eye for planning out the details. So it's always fun to revisit old projects, see how far you've come, and see how much you've learned. Okay, we are getting down to the final 3, and number 3 is my new spindles. I am so glad I tackled this spindle project. I think out of all of the projects, besides just painting my living room white, this project made the biggest difference. Had I left the old spindles and just painted them black, it would be a completely different room. Also, painting those spindles black would have been a huge pain and not nearly as exciting as ripping out all of the old spindles and replacing them. So it was a more interesting process, and the change and the impact was immediate as I started to install the new spindles. I was really afraid to tackle this project, but luckily everything went smoothly for the most part. There wasn't anything like too crazy for this project. Also, if you ever try to do a spindle project, just know that there are a million different ways to install spindles and you're gonna get a lot of conflicting information. So just choose the method that works for you and works for your space. And I think another takeaway from this project is that dark colors don't necessarily close in a space. I will forever try to push dark colors on people because I think if you balance out a space right, the dark colors don't have to close in a space and they can make such a statement. We're down to the final two, and number two is my TV outlet, and I guess we can also throw in my TV frame on top of that. And this project definitely deserves to be at number two, and that is because I tackled a massive fear of mine, which is electrical work, and I learned a new skill. I think it's pretty common to be afraid of electrical work because, you know, it's electricity. You still gotta be safe and careful, but yeah, I think I learned from this project that electrical work to a certain extent doesn't have to be scary and that it is very doable. I did it. There's power from here to here. And beyond just like tackling a fear of mine and learning a new skill, this also did make a massive difference in how clean my living room looks and how polished it looks. I mean, imagine I did all this work, it looks really nice, and then there's a big black cord running down my wall to the outlet. That would look terrible. So having the cord hidden behind my TV makes it look so much nicer, like so much nicer. And beyond the TV outlet, the TV frame was just like a nice additional touch. It makes the TV really fit the room, and also it makes it so that the TV isn't just like an afterthought on the wall. So that is why my TV outlet is number two, and I'm so glad I took the leap and tackled some electrical work. Okay, Moses decided to join me for my number one because he's just been trying to lay on my lap this whole time, so he can join me for the number one. And I'm actually curious to see if you guys have a different number one or you're like shocked by my choice, but for me, number one was a no-brainer. It is my faux apothecary shoe cabinet. Like I said earlier in the video, I love designing and building out furniture, and I'm especially proud of this design because it addresses such a common issue. A lot of people have small entryways but still need a place and a storage spot for their shoes. And I didn't want my cabinet to be just like any other IKEA piece. Not that there's anything wrong with IKEA, but I wanted something more unique, and my project ended up being cheaper than the cabinets that are sold at IKEA. And for this project, this was also the first time I tackled drawers, and not just any drawers. These were very unique shaped drawers, which was a huge challenge. And anytime somebody has come over to my house since finishing this project and they don't know I made this cabinet, everybody asks me where my shoe cabinet is from, and I always take that as a sign that this is a good DIY because they can't tell that it is a DIY and that I built it. So yeah, I got them. They think that's store-bought. It's custom. And beyond just the project itself, I based my number one pick on how I feel about the video surrounding the project, and I'm very proud of this video. I had a feeling this would be a popular design and a popular project because, again, it does address such a common issue. So I tried to lay this project out as plain and simple as I possibly could and explain everything. And that's also why I limited the tools so that I could show you that this project can also be super beginner friendly. So this faux apothecary shoe cabinet hit all of the marks of my number one pick as far as the design, the video, tackling a new skill, and of course, just getting this custom one-of-a-kind shoe cabinet. So that is my top 10 projects of 2024. Let's get to my top 5 of all time. Okay, all right, let's get into my top projects of all time. I'm gonna keep this brief, but I'll just also mention slightly why they made the list. And unlike my projects of 2024, instead of focusing on specific projects, these are more like full-on makeovers, because once I kind of finish a makeover, I just look at it as one big project. And it's hard to pick out like a specific project from these makeovers. So number 5 on the list, I'm sure some of you are gonna be shocked this isn't number 1, but it is my in-laws closet makeover. This is definitely the most physically demanding project I have ever done on my own. I still vividly remember how physically exhausted I was, especially because there was just several trips up the stairs, hauling so much plywood and lumber into their closet. At some points, I didn't know if I was ever gonna be able to finish it, but I did, and it was definitely worth it. What doesn't make this higher up on my list is the fact that I feel like I technically didn't learn anything new. Even though this was a massive build out, it was a lot of the same things that I had already done at that point. So it still deserves a solid spot on my top 5 projects of all time, but that's why it's not higher up on the list. Number 4 is my mom's bathroom makeover. This will forever be ingrained as a makeover that had the biggest hurdles. This vanity is not gonna work. It's too big. This whole thing is damaged, and that is not from me moving it. And let me just say, a tiny space doesn't mean it's gonna be easy. This project was supposed to be a 1 video project, and then eventually I had to split it up into a 2-part makeover, and I had to design and build a vanity on the fly. And I will forever remember the look on my mom's face when I told her I was building a custom vanity. She watches every single one of my videos, so she knows what I'm capable of doing, but when it's your daughter in your space who ripped apart your bathroom and doesn't know how to put it back together again, she was understandably nervous. And also, my mom is not the only one who has this idea that a DIY is gonna look like a DIY. So I ensured her that this vanity was gonna be even nicer than any store-bought vanity she could buy. And the fact that I also had a solid look in mind, because there was a Pottery Barn vanity that I based the design off of. I really wanted that vanity for the bathroom, but it was way out of budget. So the fact that I could give my mom a similar look for a fraction of the price is why this project will always stand out as one of my top favorites of all time. Okay, number 3 is my living room makeover. So I'm gonna keep this very brief because I feel like I just said all of this in part 9 of that series makeover. But what I loved so much about this makeover is all of the different projects I got to do. From custom furniture to architecture detail, I got to do sewing projects, building projects, fun little crafty projects. You name the type of project, I got to do it and put it into the space. So I really thought through all of the details, and that is why it is number 3 in my top projects of all time. So number 2 is my mom's bedroom makeover. I love this makeover, not just for the transformation, but the experience around this makeover. Getting to truly surprise my mom with a bedroom makeover was so much fun. And if you think my mom peaked, go watch that video and go watch her reaction. That woman cannot act. 1, 2, 3. Oh my God. So you know that was a genuine response to not knowing what her bedroom was going to look like. I absolutely loved the makeover. It was so much fun, but more importantly, I got to give my mom this like custom, beautiful space, and she absolutely loves it, and we still talk about it to this day. And number one top project of all time. This was a massive undertaking, and of course it is my brother's kitchen makeover. You can even throw in the fact that I tackled a whole different makeover on top of this kitchen renovation at the same time. So not only was this physically demanding, but it was mentally demanding. Oh my gosh, it was so much. But there is something truly really valuable in tearing something down to the bare bones and putting it back together again. I really truly believe I would not be at the level I am today had I not had the chance to do this project. And I wouldn't have had the confidence to tackle half of these projects that I have tackled at this point. And there is an icing on the cake. The icing on the cake is that my brother actually sold this house. This wasn't the plan when we did the renovations, but he has since moved, and the new owner told my brother that this was her dream kitchen and her dream space. So the fact that not only did my brother get to enjoy it for the time he had it, but the fact that we designed and built out somebody's dream kitchen is just like a really cool thing to know. So that is why my brother's kitchen renovation will pretty much always be #1 in my mind, just because of the invaluable experience of everything I learned. And that is it, guys. Those are my top projects of the year, and those are my top projects of all time. It's so fun and crazy to look back on like how much has changed. I'm actually coming up on my 5th year anniversary of having a YouTube channel, and looking back, I almost didn't keep this channel going at the beginning of the year. I was really uncertain with whether I was doing the right thing, putting all of this work into this channel. But through lots of praying and a little determination, I kept going, and I'm so glad I did. I love this community I have on my channel. You guys are all so incredibly nice. I am so appreciative of your support and for watching my videos. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I can't wait to see what 2025 holds. I have even more DIYs to share with you guys. So thanks again, and I will see you next year. Bye, guys. Bonbons, we did it! She's not excited.